IMF judgment on our education in general. I want to read this for you to hear. It says, key identify areas of potential improvement of Ghana's education spending include strengthening primary education resources, better teaching learning, outcomes, and stronger performance-based funding practices. So it simply tells you that the fundamentals here are weak. Do you agree with this assessment?
In fact, they are being generous. They are being generous in the sense that if the majority of children, when they, especially the first 3 years, every normal child within maximum of 3 years will be literate, competent in the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, and be able to express themselves in the language of instruction. That is not happening. And for me, that is the litmus test. So the IMF is not being harsh. At best, they are being economical with and being polite.
Well. Probably this may sound harsh. Let me pick your thought on this. So they say we spend close to 4% of our GDP on education, but it actually has poor learning outcomes. It means we spend so much, but the outcome that we are looking for, we end up getting a poor learning outcome from this.
In fact, let me tell you, they are still being diplomatic. The reality is this: research shows that after 12 years of education, the average Ghanaian child has the equivalent of 6 years of serious learning. In other words, so really, it is a pandemic. And one of the things is that we reap the results as the years go by, because they become adults, they are dropouts, they are mostly unemployable, and their attitude. I go to my village, and the person who has secondary school failure says he won't go too far because he went to secondary school and came with nothing, and he's walking about. Sad to say, some of them getting themselves into illicit drugs, and now Galamsey is the main thing. I come from southern part of Ashanti. They cannot even get farm people to work on the farms. Why? Because the first secondary school, they are Galamsey, and that gives them some money for some time. But how long are they going to? And their future becomes so miserable, because are they going to be, laborers for the rest of their life? No. So we must do something in terms of changing attitude, in terms of academic outcomes, and the time to do so is now.
Well, it's clear that the problem is the fundamental, at the basic level, where we are probably not doing much. What is actually the solution? Can you tell me about your 9 books that can actually help enhance literacy, in a span of 3 months for KG students and also class 1 pupils?
First of all, let me say that the panacea is that there's not one panacea. There has to be an improvement in the management of the school, supervision, accountability, and that teachers must be judged by results, not, oh, I got my degree the other day and I'm appointed, and then I am, the situation is that in the secondary school, for example, some of the good even private schools don't find it difficult to attract teachers. Why? Because they say the government secondary school is better. They don't teach, and then you have to come to the afternoon classes in order for you to pass. So therefore, what they get by the side is more than what you will give them and the rest. But a fundamental one, which I'm trying to deal with, and my wife, is literacy by the age of 6 years. And I must confess, I must apologize to many generations of Ghanaian children who are coming to them late, because I use this method for my children, 4 children, and our friends, and all of them came with the same result, totally literate by 5 or 6 years. Then, of course, when you are paying school fees for your children, you forget other people's children.
And it actually works in 3 months?
Yes, I'm getting there. Then I got my grandchildren, and when they were about 4 or 5, they'll say, their mommy speak to us. Then my wife says that, like the four lepers, now we know our sins. We should have exported it and made it available to all children in Ghana. And we tried it to our grandchildren, 5 years old, two of them, by 3 months. In fact, less than 3 months, but I give 3 months as a good period. They were totally literate, so that they are now 10 and 7, and they can read any university book. And it's very, very simple. We have here, so the past 4 years, my wife and I have been working very hard on 9 books. Book one, it says boys and girls. Book two, at home, and the rest playing with toys. But the essence of it is very, very simple. These are books which, for example, the first book has only 23 words. The whole book, all the sentences are 23, are formed with 23 words. And then you use cards. It's very powerful. You use these cards, say bird, bears, why, whichever word, the 23. And when the children are taking 10 at a time, spending only 1 second to go through 1 minute to go through the 10 3 times a day, the average child within 3 days has gotten all the words. But then the
Unfortunately, we lost Professor Stephen Adei over there, but we're still talking about Ghana's education system and the licensure factor. You may have seen, you may have heard it, that teachers who sat for this year's licensure exams actually I'm privy to the data, and if you look at the literacy aspects, it's been on a decline in terms of the average number of teachers who pass from 44 to somewhere around 22. Prof, you're back. You're making a point.
yes, yes, I think that I'm having some light of, please tell to change it to electricity, because I'm having a flickering of light.
Interesting,
Please
interesting.
make sure that it is resolved quickly. All of them to DC. I'm on solar, and because of the weather, it is flickering, so they should change immediately to ECG for us.
Prof, go ahead then.
Yeah. So you use this card. The first book has 23 words. Within 3 days, an average child knows all the words. And once they know that you give him the book, boom, he's able to read it. And that is the electrifying one. For the first time, he takes a book and reads it himself or herself. And he's clamoring for more. You go to the second book, about 30 words, you do the same, you give the book, they read it. And you know that in English, there are only 100 words we use more than 50% the time.
Interesting.
So once they learn the keywords, and before they have reached 400 words, the children are so smart. I don't need to teach them A, B, C, D, alphabet, vowels, all of them. They decipher that by themselves, because that's how they learn their mother tongue.
Well, of course, this is actually focused on, some children have different disabilities. You can have dyscalculia and dyslexia. This is actually supposed to help with those who have, dyslexia. What about those who have dyscalculia? Hello, Prof? Can you hear me, Prof? Well, it's unfortunate we're having some challenge. Yeah, I can hear you, Prof.
Please. Now we are back on.
Yeah, I was asking how this methodology can help, kids who suffer dyscalculia instead of dyslexia.
Please, normally, when a child has some disability, they require special care. But 99% of children are normal children, like Stephen Adei of Hiromwasi. So this every a child with special need will require special attention. I haven't tried it on them. I'm not
Absolutely.
a special child with needs teacher, so they will have to figure that one out. But if we are able to reach the 99% of the children, and in fact, I'm going to see the Minister of Education, how we can get it even online for free for the schools, because our children must learn to read. And once they break that one, mathematics, science, everything comes school job.